មានការអភិវឌ្ឍនៅសម្ភារៈឧបទេសវិធីសាស្ត្របង្រៀនថ្មីៗនិងការប្រើប្រាស់ឧបករណ៍ជំនួយតាមបែប digital ផងដែរក្នុងន័យនេះ EasyCom មានកិត្តិយសចូលរួមធ្វើជាអ្នកឧបត្ថម្ភធំក្នុងកម្មវិធីគ្រូបង្រៀនឆ្នើមដែលមានភាពច្នៃប្រឌិតបំផុតដើម្បីជាការលើកទឹកចិត្តដល់លោកគ្រូអ្នកគ្រូឲ្យចូលរួមអភិវឌ្ឍនៅសម្ភារៈឧបទេសបង្រៀនវិធីសាស្ត្របង្រៀនថ្មីៗដើម្បីឲ្យដំណើរការអប់រំតាមប្រព័ន្ធអេឡិចត្រូនិកនេះអាចធ្វើទៅបានដោយរលូននិងប្រកបដោយប្រសិទ្ធភាពសូមអរគុណ
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of CEF 2020. So glad to see everyone joining us. I'd like to invite Ms. Director Sokta to help start our day today. Director Sokta, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, probably good night, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. As I am one of the organizing committee, I first of all would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, who are present here, and welcome to the second day of Cambodian E-Learning Forum 2020. Despite the critical and challenging situation of COVID-19, this is an auspicious occasion and a great momentum for us. And I am honestly proud as CEF 2020 could take place here, which is the first e-learning forum that bring all together all policy maker, expert, practitioner, teacher, of course, students in one place to share the best practices, e-learning trends and prospects, and to discuss the emerging technology that can contribute to the advancement of e-learning in Cambodia and in the globe. Currently, COVID-19 is having a significant impact on us in many ways, and among that, education is remarkably seen to the shift dramatically, which we usually say that challenge present opportunity. It allows all us to join together, seeking the effective approach to deliver education for our children, to ensure that learning still continues amid the difficult time. And that's what e-learning and distance education are the solution and playing a very critical, significant role at the moment and still continue in the future under the new normal. Ladies and gentlemen, digital education, while e-learning is one in that aspect, was not just encourage our education system when we faced in this challenge. According to the insightful vision of Excellency Dr. Hong Chunon, Minister of Education, Youth and Sport, Cambodia, it was acknowledged and become one of the pillars in the education reform. And we have been strategically planning and implementing a wide variety of initiatives in many areas of intervention have been put to achieve this. Having listened to all distinguished speaker panelists from yesterday, sharing very inspiring experience and perspective related to pedagogy in e-learning and digital content development, open educational resources, you provide us with numerous ideas and input that we can adopt and bring positive change to our education system in Cambodia. And of course, all of you, I believe, may also get a lot of how Ministry of Education Cambodia is putting in the great effort in enhancing digital education. So the comprehensive presentation from Dr. Sangwatana, Under Secretary of State yesterday, I could see how enthusiastic of every speaker and presenter have been put have been present here in this virtual forum, and I really appreciate it. COVID-19 is really challenging us. Finally, we again, on behalf of the organizing committee, sincerely thank to every one of you for being with us here today, the second day, supporting us for this development effort. More importantly, this event really encouraged us to work closely together for the future of cooperation, to collectively create and enable learning environment where e-learning will be one of the effective solutions to achieve the future education and to promote lifelong learning for all. I definitively wish that I would have an opportunity to work with you together to push the area of e-learning towards success. I hope you will have a fruitful and productive discussion for today, and allow me to open today's event. Let's enjoy this memorable event and watch our live session together. So Mokun, and thank you very much.
Director Sokta, thank you so much for your insightful opening remarks. We are looking forward to the day today, and we sincerely thank your department as well as the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport for the incredible role that you have played in supporting us in the organization of CEF 2020. And we hope that today will be as productive and interesting and engaging as yesterday. So everyone, please have fun. We will be starting with our first speaker momentarily. Thank you so much, Director Sokka. Everyone, I hope you're ready. We are going to be starting now with our first speaker, with Ms. Kate O'Connell from the Giving Tree School, and she will be speaking on platforms and pedagogy, e-learning platforms that help move schools successfully online. This presentation will be in English, so please look forward to the first speaker of today. Thank you.
សួស្តីអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាស្វាគមន៍មកកាន់វេទិកាការសិក្សាតាមប្រព័ន្ធអនឡាញឆ្នាំ 2020 ដូច្នេះកុំឲ្យទស្សនិកជនយើងរងចាំយូរសូមមកជួបជាមួយនឹងវាគ្មិនទី1របស់យើងគឺអ្នកស្រី Kate O'Connell ដែលគាត់ជា Head of School នៃសាលា The Giving Tree ដូច្នេះកុំឲ្យរងចាំយូរសូមអញ្ជើញយើងនឹងភ្ជាប់ជូនជាមួយនឹងវាគ្មិនរបស់យើងឥឡូវនេះ
Hello, good morning. Good morning to Your Excellency, Hang Chun Ran, and all other excellencies and participants who are joining us today from around Cambodia. Thank you to the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, the IDEA Consultancy, and IT Step Academy for organizing this event. I would like to welcome you to Platforms and Pedagogy, e-learning platforms that help schools move online successfully. Who am I? I'm Kate O'Connell, and I'm the head of the Giving Tree International School here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I have 25 years of experience in education, including having worked in and consulted at 30 schools in 12 countries and on 4 continents. In my various roles, I have a wealth of experience with children ranging from ages 12 months to 12 years. I received both my bachelor's degree in elementary education and my master's degree in curriculum and instruction from Michigan State University. And soon I will have completed my certificate of school management and leadership from Harvard Business School. My educational leadership philosophy is based on 3 key points: impact, collaboration, and innovation. I look forward to impacting education in Cambodia through CEF's innovative initiatives and collaborations. I am unapologetically passionate about children and education. Today, I will take you through the journey of the Giving Tree International School's move to online learning. At the Giving Tree International School, we are a low-tech but not no-tech school. Parents choose to send their kids to school because we are play-based and focused on the whole child. We create strong relationships and build child-centered, home-like environments for our students. So it was difficult for us to reproduce this concept online. During the first closure, many parents did not want their children to have any screen time. Furthermore, it was difficult for parents who still needed to be working. Many students stay with grandparents or nannies who are not familiar with online tools, so they did not return for term 4 in 2020. It was hard to sell online learning to parents, and even harder to get young students focused for online learning. Since then, we have been reflecting on our practices and we have made improvements. There are a few things that we have done right that helped us to make this transition and to build back our student enrollments, and I will share those successes with you now. One of our keys to success is being curious. And another key to our success is using systems thinking to look out for leverage points, which comes with my experience working with Compass Education. Our tagline at TIS is #passionately-curious. And in our mission, we strive to nurture a collaborative community of inquirers. So we started by asking ourselves questions. How could we inquire into the best practices in online learning? What could we emulate? And what could we do better? What lessons could we glean from other schools? First, we looked to other IB schools in Vietnam, China, and Qatar through our educator networks. Many of those schools were the first to go online. We learned that both Seesaw and YouTube were a big part of the practices and were used for online learning in various schools. Early in March, we held a whole school meeting where teachers read examples of online learning from the MyIB website, and collaboratively, we came up with a plan for online learning. At the Giving Tree International School, we are an IB, International Baccalaureate, primary years program school. We are concept-driven, inquiry-based, and transdisciplinary. We teach across and through the subject areas around transdisciplinary themes like who we are and where we are in time and place. We decided early on that we would not revert back to more traditional subject-based approach to learning. For example, doing a lot of worksheets. We use Zoom to connect with students and morning circle times, checking in with our students. We used YouTube to create instructional videos and read-alouds. And everything that we planned was child-centered and child-focused. Teachers ask themselves questions while planning. Will they be able to do this easily at home? If not, what materials might they need? The teachers made learning packets to support the online learning so that students could access the curriculum at home. We discussed how we could leverage the platforms that we already had in use. Some of these included Zoom, YouTube, WhatsApp, ThinkThink, Learning A to Z, MobiMax, Google Classroom, Seesaw, and Mathletics. We set up a time for students to practice using the apps before the campus closures. Students practiced logging in to RazKids, Mathletics, and MobiMax so that they would be familiar with those apps while they were at home. Our goal was to make learning seamless, using the apps that the kids use in school to help support their learning at home. Our apps completely cover the curriculum. Learning A to Z provides literacy support for the units of inquiry, including social studies and science. Mathletics provides mathematics support for inquiry and inquiry-based projects, but it also allows for students to practice playing games, both alone and with others. MobiMax offers a diagnostic tool so that we can use data to inform our teaching and learning and to ensure the students of TGTIS do not have any learning gaps in their learning. So, with so many apps, we have offered parent support, both on campus and online. Furthermore, teachers have guided parents and caregivers how to set up purposeful learning centers at home to cater for and support our younger learners. These centers will then become areas for learning throughout with guidance of the support of teacher input. So what can you do? Well, one of the challenges to moving online is resisting the temptation to use a more traditional method of learning, such as lecturing. Having teachers only teach on Zoom for 8 hours and to do worksheets is a request parents often make, as they are working and the students need supervision all the time. Parents need their students to be occupied, which is why 8 hours of Zoom and worksheets can be seen as a solution. However, we know that that is not the optimal practice for long-term learning. It just isn't how the brain works. When deciding on how you will run your online learning, make sure that it matches what you know about good teaching and learning. Students need to be engaged, interested, and have agency with their learning. So, how are we continuing to live our values online? At TGTIS, we have 6 pillars that define who we are and what we do. The pillars each are represented by a colored section of our logo. 1, we are a home. We make sure that students are seeing the same people online that they would see at school. Teachers and learning assistants host live sessions. Even our specialists offer live online classes. We also have posts from other administration team members too. This reassures kids that we are still here for them, even though they aren't on campus with us. We are global citizens. We are maintaining our units of inquiry, which look at local and global issues. We are also continuing to develop our practice of offering additional languages in French and Khmer. World-class education through the IB. We are connected to hundreds of schools online and worldwide, many of whom are also learning online. And we share inspirational and innovative ideas. We have continued to maintain our high teaching standards, providing many materials for students to work at home in line with our approach to inquiry. We are green. Online apps support immediate feedback and data collection without paperwork. We have, as far as possible, not resorted to printing out endless worksheets, but have maintained our sustainability practices by encouraging students to use practical, recyclable, and reusable materials. Highest quality education for all. Teachers are continuing to plan the same learning engagements online as they do for on, making adjustments where necessary and using award-winning apps and resources. Socially responsible. At TGTIS, we do this through the use of the IB Learner Profile. And for example, students need to use Netiquette while using Zoom and the other online platforms and the teachers provide feedback on this to the students through Seesaw. Ongoing reflection. To understand the effectiveness of our programs and to measure our impact, we need to include all perspectives. Asking questions about how effective our programs are and how we will measure that impact has helped us to know where our leverage points are. Those leverage points that will help us make the most effective change to our learning system. We gathered feedback from teachers, parents, and students. This is an example of the results from a parent survey that we put out on Google Forms. We met with teachers in meetings, teachers made phone calls home to parents, and teachers asked their students for direct feedback. The feedback showed us that we were doing a good job, but the biggest pain point for us was that we were just not doing enough, especially with our specialist classes. As they have been conducted on YouTube, we found moving them to in live classes was a successful pivot. So what can you do? Well, I would suggest that you can continually reflect with all of your stakeholders by asking these two questions. Ask, how effective are our programs? And how are you going to measure your impact? You can send out surveys, make phone calls, and find other innovative ways to elicit feedback. At the Giving Tree International School, we strive for continual improvement. With technology continually evolving and changing, so much are online offerings. Just as tech companies troubleshoot to improve upon their products, at the Giving Tree, we feel it is equally important for us to improve our online learning tools and tasks, as well as our practices, to make sure our students have the optimal educational experience. We do this by asking ourselves 3 questions. What are our biggest pain points for teachers, parents, and students? What are the small things that we could do better that would make a big difference? And how can we serve our community more effectively? We made some pivots, and I'll talk about those pivots now. First, we pivoted with our apps. In addition to moving our specialists from video lessons to live lessons, we also have taken on a new comprehensive app called Toddle that has all the features of Seesaw, plus the student information system and IBPYP planning, curriculum mapping, as well as professional development on the IBPYP and support. Furthermore, we have added reading aids for our younger learners to our literacy suite. Next, we made changes to our schedule. We created a schedule that reflected a more seamless transition from in-class learning to online learning. So what can you do? Ask yourself, what are the biggest pain points you are experiencing? It can be hard to face this head on, and it can be easier just to keep doing what you've been doing. I want to inspire you today with our example of what is possible and how we pivoted to improve upon what we're doing, even when we were doing it well. So, in summary, the top 3 takeaways I would like you to have as a result of my presentation are: 1, stay true to who you are. Create an impact by aligning your practice with effective on-campus practice. 2, use ongoing reflection. Use collaborative reflection with students, parents, and teachers to inquire into how effective is our teaching and learning? What is the one thing we can improve upon? And strive for continual improvement. Face your realities and look for ways to effective on-campus practice. Thank you for listening. Use our journey of I wish I was reading the students at the International School. Thank you to IT Staff Academy and the Idea Consultancy for this opportunity. No, that's what I look forward to collaborating, innovating, and making an impact on education in Cambodia for all of you. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, thank you for joining us today. So,
Great to see you, Kaylee.
Hi, good morning. I hope you've had a great morning. So just for the audience, we have just finished up with Kate's presentation. So here we are, Kate, live and ready to answer all of your questions. She is from the Giving Tree, so please direct your questions towards the stage chat. So we do have are you ready to start, Kate?
Absolutely.
All right. So we do have a couple of questions coming in just now. So we will have 15 minutes for this Q&A session. So please do answer along. All right. So the first question is from Uttira Kang. How to ensure that students stay focused and engaged and not distracted with games and chat during class?
I think that's a great question and one that requires parental support. I think the most effective thing you can do is to create essential agreements around how children are going to behave online. And during these times when we are on campus, to practice those while you're in person. And I think having people respond in certain ways, like don't let something go when it's happening. You need to stop it. So if you're teaching on Zoom or Google Meets and you've got a chat going, you have to stop teaching and address the chat issue right then and there. So it's just like being in a classroom when you're sitting with kids in front of you and two kids are messing around, you have to stop what you're doing and address it and teach them. These are good examples of what it looks like to participate. And these are what are non-examples, and then have the students end with the good examples.
Terrific answer. Yes, please. Ms. Kate has been an expert on student and child rearing, so please do take these notes. Okay, so second question would be, as an IB school, we understand that the assessment process is different from traditional schooling. So how do you, as an IB school, conduct student assessments?
There are lots of ways that you can conduct student assessments, formative assessments and summative assessments. And the research shows that formative assessment is more impactful on learning. So giving feedback is one of the most effective things you can do for your students. Kids are going to learn regardless of whether their learning is reported on. So you need to put the reporting system, the reporting communication system into perspective. What's important is student learning, like our students learning. So I think if you focus on the formative feedback and learning is progressing, then you can, report on the learning. I'm not sure I answered that question. So if that person wants to ask a follow-up question, please go ahead. It is true. We do not have traditional assessments, and we are able to use learning portfolios. And one of the amazing things about the newest app that we've picked up at the Giving Tree, Toddle, is that our report cards will have embedded evidence. So when parents are seeing the report card that we've made, then it'll say your child can read with fluency. And then there might be a link to a video where the child is reading a book at his or her level fluently. So I think collecting evidence on learning is another significant way to report on learning.
App that other people should get on board on. Following up on that, can you please clarify what you mean by a formative assessment?
Formative is in time. We don't have to wait to assess kids. We can pre-assess them before we even start. So in the IB, we look backwards by design. So that's like mapping out where we want the kids to go in the end. So for us, we want them to understand the central idea of the unit. And so all of our activities are building toward that central idea. So in the beginning, in the first time you're doing the unit, you would do a provocation and you would uncover what students already know about that topic or that unit or that central idea. What do they know? Because students don't come to us without information. They have their own ideas, conceptions, misconceptions about things. So how can we provoke their thinking and uncover what they already know so we can know where to take them? So formative, to go back to the original question, is assessing them in time and providing feedback.
Okay, and in the topic of assessment, how can you measure, another question from Ms. Imsupia, is how can you measure unquantifiable elements like behavior changes in students?
That's a really good question. And I think that this is a topic of controversy, especially in the IB world, because we focus on the learner profile, which are students being thinkers, inquirers, principled, and those are really hard things to measure. I think that's something we need more research on, because if it's unquantifiable, how do we measure it? I think what the answer that I would give off the cuff is that you'd collect evidence, and put what a child was like, what their behaviors were like in the beginning. And then after a year with you, what are their behaviors like in the end and what happened in the middle? So collecting evidence could be one way that you could document that process of change.
So evidence is very important in any kind of assessment situation.
Yeah.
It seems that there is a lot of interest in student assessment here. So I will be continuing on this question.
Great. I love assessment. Bring it on.
So more on measuring through an e-learning platform. So you mentioned also already Toddle and collecting evidence. But how about creating an effective formative assessment? Like what should you provide earlier before the lesson goes or after the lesson is gone? This is a question from Sruong Sraihat, and they would like to know how to create a formative assessment.
So formative assessment goes into your thinking. So it's, what are you going to do with the kids that's going to provoke their thinking to give you the information that they want? So for example, if you were teaching a unit, say, on the solar system, right? And many students would have like a misconception about what the moon is made of. You might have a discussion at the beginning of the unit about what their beliefs are about, about the solar system and how it works. So it could be a formative assessment can be just a discussion. It can be as simple as that, taking note of what the kids are saying about the topic or the content. It can be something else too. Like for example, when I was teaching grade 2, we were doing a unit on adaptation. Animals adapt to their environment in order to survive. And so each day, my co-teacher and I, we took away something from the students. And they had to figure out how to learn without it. One day we took away all the chairs and they had to adapt. One day we took away the aircon, and another day we took away the tables. And then we had conversations about how we had to adapt to that change in our environment. So provoking thinking is really important. So many teachers make the mistake, many educators everywhere make the mistake of thinking, what am I going to have the students do? I want to change that. I want to ask you, I want to inspire you to ask, what am I going to ask that will get the students to think?
How you promote their curiosity as well, yes?
Brilliant segue, Kaylee. Brilliant. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Curious. If we're raising and nurturing a collaborative community of inquirers, we have to be inquirers ourselves and we have to ask questions. The best way to get information about your students is to ask good questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Kate. Time for one more question, or actually two short questions. So the first is from Kang Putira, and they would like to know, parents are concerned that students with much time online may develop unhealthy habits and symptoms of social anxiety. They may prefer to stick with devices and isolate themselves from social interaction. How is this addressed? How to assess social and emotional development?
I think this is really important. And this is the conversation I just had with my teachers. One of our qualities at the Giving Tree is that we're sincere. And I think it's really important. In the presentation, I mentioned getting feedback from parents. I think we have to check in regularly with parents. How is it going? Teachers making phone calls home and talking to students personally. How is this going? That's a concern I have for my own children. And it is a big concern. And I think that's why in the presentation, I was talking about offering offline suggestions for learning as well for parents who might need to do something else other than have their children join Zoom. So what learning areas could you create in your house? What activities can you give them? We send home learning packets with activities that kids can do without online resources. We put YouTube videos up that they can access just when they want, 10 minutes. I think for us as parents, I'm a parent, this is hard. Online school is hard. It is so hard. Motivated students are motivated and older students can do this. It is really hard for the young learners. We have learners as young as 1 year old. And if I'm completely honest, I would much rather have those young learners in school and on campus and not doing online learning because they need socialization.
Is one of the challenges of conducting virtual classes because of the smaller students' play-based learning style. Okay, thank you so much, Kate. We'll just tackle one last question and then we'll finish up with your session. So just to go back to the assessment, we've answered what kind of assessments can be done, but how exactly do you conduct it online as a school, as teachers? How do you do that?
Well, one of the tools that I suggested in my presentation is something that I think everyone should check out is MobyMax. MobyMax is a diagnostic tool that will give you information about your learners and it finds the gaps in their learning. So you get a report. And for example, in math, a child might be, at a grade 6 level in geometry, but they may have missed something in another strand of math, like, for example, area and volume. And MobyMax will diagnose that and let you know that this child, while they're at a grade 6 level in geometry, they're at a grade 3 level in volume and area. And then it provides the practice that is needed to get them up to speed. And that way you can ensure that, because especially now with COVID-19, there are going to be learning gaps because we've stopped and started our learning. We've been on campus and online, and we don't know exactly what has gone on for students socially and emotionally, like the last question we asked. And we know that social and emotional, the social and emotional state of the learner impacts their ability to learn and impacts the ability for long-term memory. So I would highly suggest checking out that app and getting data on your learners so that you can have evidence-based information to make decisions on teaching and learning going forward.
Thank you. So that is our last question for you today. Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for all of your great questions here. I hope that you have enjoyed Kate's very honest and insightful answers. Kate, thank you so much for joining us for CEF 2020 this morning.
You're welcome. It's my honor.
Thank you for your time. And if you wouldn't mind, please stay online so that any other viewers can directly message you their questions and queries chat.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Do you have any last insights to share with the audience before we end the call?
I'd just like to say that I think that this CEF forum is a very great new initiative, and it's innovative. And I hope that we can continue moving forward, and that some of us can meet and make a difference in the lives of students in Cambodia.
Completely agree. Thank you so much for your support. And will you be at the expo booths today?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So anyone who has any questions, Kate will be live in the expo section under the Giving Tree International School. So please do visit their booth this morning when you would have the time and would like to do that. Okay. Thank you so much, Kate. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. That was Kate from the Giving Tree. So up next, we have Amit from Microsoft, and he will be sharing with you how you can leverage the Microsoft 360 platform to collaborate, communicate, and create in-person and online to create a teaching and learning environment that can help you and your students to achieve more. So give me just 1 second so that I can connect Amit to our call.
អរគុណច្រើនដល់លោកស្រី Kate O'Connell ដែលបានធ្វើបទបង្ហាញនិងឆ្លើយសំណួរដល់ក្បោះក្បាយអញ្ចឹងកុំឲ្យទស្សនិកជនរបស់យើងរងចាំយូរសូមជួបជាមួយនឹងវាគ្មិនបន្ទាប់របស់យើងគឺលោក Amit Tawa ដែលលោកមកពី Microsoft APAC អញ្ចឹងសូមជួបគាត់ឥឡូវនេះ
All right. Hello. Welcome, Amit.
Good morning, folks. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
And you can see me as well. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Are you feeling good? Feeling ready?
I am feeling very good. I'm so glad I'm doing this online in person. And I know I could have sent you a video earlier on, but I'm really pumped to kind of meet everyone in person. And I feel a lot more connected when I'm doing this live rather than sending a pre-recorded video. So thank you for the opportunity. I hope everyone's having a wonderful forum. This is amazing. I mean, I'm really jazzed that you are organizing such an amazing forum. I've been online for the last hour listening in and following the questions, and it's been amazing. So thank you for the opportunity. I really want to thank the organizers of this event, the 2020 Cambodian e-learning forum, for giving me the opportunity and welcoming me into this community.
Thank you for joining us. Lovely opening words. So you can start whenever you're ready.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So look, I think I've heard a lot about, how we can adapt into this new world of teaching and learning, and how can Microsoft help you do that is probably the question I want to answer for all of you. And we are here to partner with Cambodia and the teaching and learning community of Cambodia, as we do across the world. Our mission at Microsoft is to empower every individual and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And if we are to do that, we have to start with education. So our commitment to education has been long lasting for 45 plus years of the history of Microsoft being in existence. We have been partnering with education leaders across the planet. So in my presentation today, I just want to give you a few ideas on how you can get started on this journey with us. 10 minutes is not enough, and 20 minutes certainly not enough for us to go through all of it. I just want to give you a flavor for you to get started so that you are leveraging a platform that you can use to create what we are terming a modern classroom. Because the definition of a classroom has significantly changed, not just in this century, but significantly changed in the last 10 months, 11 months since the beginning of this pandemic. And we've been at the forefront of responding to the first responders. So as our CEO, Mr. Satya Nadella says, teachers are the first responders. They are at the front line of having to deal with so many different things at so many different levels when it comes to educating customers, right? So we need to be very cognizant about this and be, ready to help. So that's what we do. So I have the privilege of being the first responder to you as the first responder to our students. So what does that mean? That basically means we are empowering you with a platform that is going to help you meet your competing priorities to make sure you're able to deliver on your curriculum mandates. And I am yet to meet a teacher who says, I have too much time. I'm yet to meet a teacher who says, I am done with everything, because there's so much to be done. So we want to help you save time. We want to make sure you allocate your time towards personalized instruction with higher impact activities. Of course, we want to create those emotional and cognitive skills. I heard a lot about how do we measure, not just the assessment side of things, but also the social emotional side of things, and be able to, provide feedback in real time as much as possible so that we can foster a personalized, inclusive, immersive, and collaborative, accessible learning as well. Because one of the other things that we, often ignore in the day-to-day activities is how are we also meeting the requirements of people who do require accessibility, which is through their disabilities. It could be visible disabilities or invisible disabilities. We want to make sure that the platform you're leveraging addresses all of these and encompasses all of the requirements of different learning styles, be it, fortunate people like us who are normal and don't have, the visibility issues or hearing issues or, other issues that can come in the way of their teaching and learning. So how do we do this? We want to make sure that we do this through having a deep commitment so that we make this technology available. And yes, it is absolutely true. You can get started with Office 365 for free. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. And not only how to do that, why you should be doing that. Because what we have noticed is that there have been a lot of, in the last 12 months, what we've noticed is there are a prolific hub for you to be able to do your teaching and learning from, rather than having to go to multiple different places. Because one of the things we've also noticed is that in a 45-minute classroom, you do not have the time to switch between tools and be able to, manipulate different environments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out of my PowerPoint and share with you my screen so you know exactly what to do to go and get started. And I'm going to send you these links in the chat window so that you can actually see what's going on. So this is where you go and get Office 365 for free. And I'll repeat, you do get started for free. So there is the A1 offer that allows you to get all of the Office applications, all of the services in the cloud to do, events like the one we are doing right now. We could even run that event in a tool called Teams, or run classrooms in the cloud for free. And this gives you unlimited storage in the cloud for individuals. It gives you 50 gigabytes of email, and it is just the most amazing platform for you to get started with. So I'm going to give you a link to all of this so that you can, go and get your school registered if you're not already doing so. And what does this all look like? So when you land up in a page like this, where you're able to start, obviously creating, communicating, and do all the things that you would normally do. But one of the tools that we've really introduced and made possible for educators to connect with each other is this thing called Microsoft Teams. And Microsoft Teams is really all about making sure that you're able to bring your teaching and learning into one place. Because what we've noticed is, as I said earlier, there are tools for this, there's a tool for that. You go and get one tool for video conferencing. You go and get one tool for assessment. You go and do another tool for engagement. You get another tool for various aspects. So what we did was we actually talked to a lot of educators over the last few years and see, well, how do we bring all of this together? So how do I communicate with my school and my class? How do I create, specialized groups so that you can have group conversations and we can have breakouts and those sort of things, and do that through a simple interface? The idea here is to keep you within the one interface. And Teams is attempting to do that by making sure that we can have communication, so we can make announcements, we can, share praise with each other when we're doing well, or we're just having, or we want to do some kind of a conversation. We can do all of that here on a day-to-day basis. Not only that, we can have conversations not just with text, but with, emojis, with GIFs, so we can have a little bit of fun. We can encourage each other by giving each other, stickers so that we can actually, know that we are doing a great job. And those sort of things are already built in. So we don't need to kind of think about this as separate tools. Then we can bring in videos. In fact, we do provide you a secure video streaming platform called Stream that's built right into Office 365. And it's available for free within the platform. So you can take advantage of that. You can integrate other applications like, for example, YouTube. So if you're seeing where my mouse is, you can actually see that I'm able to integrate other platforms into this as well. I can use this to take polls by using third party. I can bring in applications like Wikipedia. So if I wanted to bring in a Wikipedia article about Cambodia right into the chat, I could do that. So I could just enter that and that would go into the chat. And we could have a conversation about this particular Wikipedia. So now everyone could start collaborating and reacting to this particular item that we've shared. If we need to do a search or we need to look up news, we can do that. So we can go and get what's happening, and we could have a conversation about what's in the news, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of possibilities just from the conversation view. And by the way, this is completely extensible, so we can add more applications. So there are applications for education that are being added literally every day. So you can integrate with Kahoot, we can integrate with Quizlet, Flipgrid. By the way, Flipgrid is also another application that is available from Microsoft as part of Office 365. Again, an ability for you to create videos and share videos with each other from within Teams. So again, we're not trying to get you out of the Teams environment. We integrate with Menti and so on and so forth, right? So you will see, and this list keeps on getting bigger and bigger every day. So that's something that we are bringing together in one place as a value add for all of you to be able to not just communicate with each other through chat, but also interact with each other by leveraging applications. The next thing that we also do here is we bring together the ability for you to share files and be able to go and get all of these things in one place so that all of your files that are relevant to this particular class, in this case, this is the physical science class, I can bring all of them together in the one place. I can also use these files to also create assignments, right? So that I can say, hey, please read the assignment on Amazon rainforest and then provide your input and answer these questions, right? Those sort of things can be done from right within here. Teachers have a very special area called class materials, which is locked for the students. So only teachers can add files here. Students can only read the files. This creates a secure place for you to create content and share the content from here. So that way, the students cannot go and change it, edit it, or delete it, or what have you. So that's another way for you to actually think about how we bring files into the conversation that you already might have, because a lot of teachers have already created lesson plans inside PowerPoint, inside Excel, inside Word that we can leverage and put inside here. And by the way, when you click on this, you will see that it starts the PowerPoint within Teams. So again, I don't expect you to get out of Teams to go and be able to take advantage of this. So it becomes the one place for you to start creating content, displaying content, sharing content, and being able to use that content from the one place. So as you notice, I've not actually changed my window in doing so. And when I go to a lot of classrooms, there's a lot of coordination time that goes into, oh, this is in this tab. Have you opened this? Have you not opened this? Teams gets rid of all of that. Let me do a quick demo for you as well. I'm going to create a PowerPoint in front of you, and we're going to make a very nice looking PowerPoint just by using AI. So for example, if I wanted to make a presentation on oceans, I could do that. But I could also, if you notice, it's actually using AI to go and create a more immersive PowerPoint for me. For example, it knows I'm using the word oceans, so it will start formatting it in such a way that it will start, reflecting the theme of the conversation. In this case, oceans, right? Now, if I was to go and change this to something else, and again, this is happening in the cloud for you. Let's go. We're going to talk about planes, for example. But it's using AI again to look at what's happening, and there you go. It's now going and figured out that we're talking about planes. It could be planes as in aeroplanes, or it could be planes as in, land planes. So these are things that we have done in the background to make it easier for you to create more immersive, good-looking content that is going to engage your end user. And of course, we can not only just do this, we can insert things like it'll create its own designs for you. But we can also create more immersive content by including videos and other things right into the actual PowerPoint. So PowerPoint's a great example of how we're integrating a traditional application into a new application, which is Teams in this case. Okay, so the other thing we can do within Teams is this concept called class notebook. And this is quite different to what you may be used to with other tools that you might have come across. Fundamentally, what we have done is we've brought together the concept of a notebook, but made it digital. So what we found was, a lot of teachers obviously are very familiar with how we create notebooks and use notebooks in the classroom to, give content, or students takes their notes in the notebook, or they do their work in the notebook, and then they hand in the notebook to go and get their work assessed. What we did was we created a digital equivalent of that. So now what we can do is we can use a collaboration space for everyone to collaborate. So we can go and, in this case, it might be a project that we want to talk about, and we can go and create content together, right? We can all contribute into this. Or we can have a content library where the teacher can just create content and provide it to the student. The student cannot edit what's in the content library. They can edit what's in the collaboration space, because that's what we're meant to do, is collaborate and create content. The next thing we do is we create a space for individual students. So you'll notice here Adele, Al, Alex have their own individual area. And because I have logged in as a teacher, I can see what Adele has done in terms of the ocean project. I can see what Al would have done in terms of their ocean project, right? So we know exactly what has been done. We can assess their homework. When a student logs in, they won't see each other's space. They'll only see their own space. So if Adele logged in, Adele would only see Adele's space, right? She won't be able to look at what Al's done. So this creates for a very easy way for us to have a collaborative as well as a one-to-one conversation between the teacher and the student. And the teacher can have a conversation with the entire classroom at large. And one of the other things that we've done, which gets a lot of praise, is this ability for us to create content and distribute it. So we can distribute pages, we can distribute it to individuals, we can distribute it to groups, or we can distribute it to the multiple classrooms at the same time. We can distribute entire sections, we can content entire libraries, and we can also review student work from right within the class notebook. So we don't have to go to different tools. Again, what you probably notice, one of the things that we are doing here is not getting you to use multiple different tools. That's the aim of how the Microsoft 365 platform has been designed to be used in the classroom. Now, of course, you'll say, well, I want to be able to do things like I do with tools to assign work to them. And I can do that right within Teams, because we're able to create quizzes and assignments from within this environment. So you're able to go in and assign particular work. Oh, by the way, one more thing you probably have noticed here is if anyone has any questions, they can just click on this button to meet, and we can all have a video conference right immediately. Because if there's anything that needs to be done on an immediate basis, we can either meet now or we can schedule a meeting. I'll get to that in a minute. But in terms of the assignments, what you'll notice here is that we are able to create assignments. We can add rubrics to those assignments. We can put in, assignment, who we are assigning this to, either to the entire class, or we can choose individuals within the class, right? So we can say this is only for the more advanced students, right? And that can be made available to only those group of students or otherwise, right? And then the other thing we can do is we can bring in content by adding resources to these assignments. And this can be from the files that we've created earlier. And you probably notice that we are able to go in and bring in any of the content that we have created, right? That was created earlier. Or I can bring it in from Teams. So if I go to the physical I can go into documents, and under general, you'll see the demo Cambodia app thing that I just did earlier. I can attach that into this, and I can ask the students to do something with that particular file. And that will be copied to their individual workspace as well, and they can work on it and submit that work back in. And once you have done that, we can also grade them. We can grade the individual user right from within here, so that it has the ability for you to, then provide feedback in form of, either visual, or, you can write on the notebook. By the way, sorry, one more thing I should have informed you earlier. The notebooks are not just limited to typing, but also you are able to use ink-based feedback as well. So you'll notice in here, for example, this can do maths. This can be used for, creating notes using handwriting if you have a digital ink-enabled device. And we strongly encourage you all to purchase digital ink-enabled devices so that you can actually use this in a more effective way. Because even from a feedback perspective, we can provide feedback either by writing in here, right? Or we can even record our feedback directly in here. We can dictate and have it record directly inside OneNote. So there are multiple ways you can actually provide feedback. So that's some of the things that we can do within Teams. And beyond grades, we can also bring in other applications, right? We can bring in Kahoot, like I said to you. I gave you a demo earlier on. We can log in into, or if I wanted to bring in a document, and it could be a document that is Word. It could be a document that is not Word. So it's not limited to just Microsoft tools. This could be, if you are already an existing school that uses other platforms, we can integrate and bring those into this environment as well. And of course, we are able to bring in other resources, like, for example, if you wanted to bring in a page from like a video from YouTube, for example, we could bring that into your conversation as well. So it could be anything, really. But there are multiple ways you can start using this platform to start creating a very customized space for you to work within your classroom. It is not limited to what we are providing out of the box. Now, one last thing I will show you is this thing called Insights. Now, one of the things that we have learned in the last 12 months is that so many tools are being used, but we don't know how effective they are at providing the teaching and learning outcomes that we so desire from our students. So what we've done is we've created this thing called an Insights app, and I'm going to demonstrate this to you through a video that has been made earlier. And I'll send you a link to this video as well. What Insights does is literally gives us the ability for the teacher to understand what's happening in their classroom. And I'll show you this in a minute. So for example, we've got a classroom here. We can add this app called Insights into Teams, and it's available for free, right? What it does, it gives the teacher the ability to go and see how their class is doing. In this case, you can see here, how is my activity on each day? Which students are inactive? Have any of the students missed any submissions? Are they missing meetings? So we can even get a very high level overview of whether they're attending your online classes or not. So it's even doing attendance for you automatically, right? When we jump into the classroom, we can even see things like, okay, well, I want to be able to see inactive students. I want to be able to see how much communication is happening between the students. How many students have been inactive this week, or what activity is happening? Which meetings were the students are absent from? Why is a particular student late for a particular class? We can have those conversations that gives us insights into having a more meaningful conversation with the students. We can, of course, look at their grades as well, because we can grade within teams. So you can actually see what's happening within the actual classroom and reflect back on why a particular student might be doing better or worse than the class average. For example, here we can look at the activity of each student. So we can see what activity each individual student has been doing in the last 7 days, last 30 days, or in the last day. We can see whether they are actually paying attention and are leveraging the resources. So we can go drill down at a very detailed level to understand whether the resources that are provided in the class are leveraged by the student as part of the teaching and learning process. So those are things that we really are focused on to give you more in-depth insights into this. So to get started on all of this, so you're probably wondering, this is great. How do I get started on all of this? And the way you do that is, first of all, I strongly encourage you to join our Educator Center community. It's free for you to join. It's for teachers and for teachers to learn how to use our platform to go and learn how to use it in the context of teaching and learning. So you will see multiple different teaching and learning paths. And my favorite part is you can go and collect badges for this so that you can share that you are aware and you are certified or you've taken the time to learn a particular technology and are adopting that technology in your class. So there's badges to be had that we can actually showcase or even show on LinkedIn and other things. So you're able to showcase that you are putting in the effort to be a better educator in the context of teaching and learning online. There is, how do we use blended approach for teaching and learning? How do we use Office 365 and Windows? So this is not about using the tools. This is about using the tools in a particular way. How do you create creativity in the classroom? Like I said earlier, how do we use the tools to meet people who may have dyslexia? And we have, very strong tools to help you with dyslexia. One of the things that I will show you, and you may like, is this thing called Learning Tools. Learning Tools is something that we created very early on because we noticed a lot of our own children who are, kids of our own employees were struggling to read. So we created this thing called the Immersive Reader. The Immersive Reader allows you to create a very safe environment for you to learn to read. So in this case, what you'll notice is I'm able to use AI to go and create a very easy. So these are the things we can do, right? We can highlight things like syllables, we can add nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. We can show that these are labels for them. We can either create line focus. My favorite thing, we can actually translate this from English to other languages, and this will do the whole document for us quite easily. So these are all things that are built in. And by the way, all of these things are available for free as part of the Office 365 platform. So I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a run through. This was not supposed to be in-depth, but I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of what's going on with the Microsoft platform. I want to thank you all for being here with me and spending the time with me. I hope there are questions that have been raised by this. So if you are interested, please let me know and we can talk to you about it. Thank you. And over back to you, Idea Consultancy team.
Such a useful and immersive tool. I'm sure that everybody is so interested in Microsoft. So unfortunately, we do not have time for your live Q&A session. However, everybody, please, thank you so much for all your questions. We do see them. If you would like to direct all of your questions at Amit, because he is super active right now on Hopin.
Yep.
Yes?
Yes. And if you have any questions, I'm also giving you my email address. So you can all direct your questions as well. So if you can't address all of the questions today, we can obviously go and address them later on. Thank you again for the time and all the best for the rest of the event.
Thank you so much, Amit, for joining us. Very informative. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Rest of the day. Everybody, please do contact Amit personally for all of your questions on Microsoft.
Thank you.
Thank you.
អរគុណដល់លោកអមិតពី Microsoft ដែលបានចែករំលែកបទបង្ហាញរបស់លោកតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងការប្រើប្រាស់ Microsoft 365 បើសិនជាទស្សនិកជនមានចម្ងល់បន្ថែមទស្សនិកជនអាចធ្វើការសរសេរទៅកាន់អាស័យដ្ឋានអ៊ីមែលរបស់លោកដើម្បីទទួលបានចម្លើយផ្ទាល់ដោយសារតែពេលវេលារបស់យើងមានកំណត់អញ្ចឹងយើងអាចធ្វើការសំណួរទាំងអស់បានដូច្នេះកុំឲ្យទស្សនិកជនយើងរងចាំយូរសូមមកជួប weekman បន្ទាប់របស់យើងគឺលោកស្រី Win Lala ដែលលោកស្រីជា CEO របស់ 360 Ad អញ្ចឹងសូមជួបជាមួយនឹងលោកស្រីផ្ទាល់
Okay, so now we're going to be starting with Miss Win Lala's presentation on 360 Ed. Stay tuned.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Greetings from Myanmar, Ninglaba. I'm Lala Win, CEO and founder of 360 Ed. Today, I would like to invite you to discover the future education together with us. As a mother, I want the best possible education for my daughter and her generation. I want to make sure that she is well equipped with the skills and confidence to face today's challenges as well as any kids around the world.
Unggoy, monyet.
Hổ,
원숭이. 사르, monkey.
monkey,
meow.
Empowering the next generation of Myanmar with the most advanced technology takes a team with skills, experience, and dedication. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Need a team that makes it all happen.
I went through the same education myself, so I want to be part of the change.
The idea of using technology in teaching and learning, they really impressed me. I'm learning a lot from working here.
Our goal at 360 is to use what we have and to make quality education accessible to all. Today, everyone has a smartphone, and what we want to showcase is how it's more than just important learning tool. But we can't do this alone. In order for us to help more people, we need to scale. From increasing inventory, expanding curriculum, to making it more accessible around the world. Join us as we change the way we teach, learn, and improve the lives of children and communities everywhere. Investing in a brighter future starts with you. Hey, I'm Nala Wen, CEO and founder of 368, and I'd like to invite you to discover the future of education. I am Lala, CEO and founder of 368, a social enterprise based out of Singularity University in NASA Research Park in California. But the whole team is now in Myanmar, working together hand in hand with teachers, parents, students, and educators to make quality education accessible to all the students, especially in the bottom million. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm very proud to have a daughter who constantly challenged me and also inspired me to develop the learning tools that fits with 21st century. The reason I'm mentioning 21st century is the education, it's a game in a way, but that game hasn't changed for many, many centuries, many, many decades. But it's time to change and it's time to reimagine the future of education. Previously, teachers placed the role of a sage on the stage, but 21st century requires teachers to help the students be the best sports as much as possible. So to play the role of the guide on the side. And with the technology, and we can help make that happen to make the learning smoother, much more effective, and also much more easy and accessible to you all. Countries like Myanmar and Vietnam cannot afford. Countries like Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos cannot afford traditional linear development. Traditional trajectories are very long, slow, and expensive. I believe Myanmar, Cambodia, and ASEAN nations have tremendous opportunity to leapfrog and benefit from the emerging technology like augmented reality, virtual reality, and existing infrastructure like mobile phones. In Myanmar, that's all we got. People have smartphones. They don't have computers. They do not have internet everywhere, but they have mobile phones. So we leverage mobile phone to bring learning alive with augmented reality by partnering with Myanmar Ministry of Education, by scanning, by digitizing the national curriculum with augmented reality. So Myanmar students can scan the flashcards and can scan the textbooks of the government and make learning pops in 3D where they can rotate and see around. I'm very proud of my team, 70 plus individuals working full-time in developing the learning materials, which in a way helping change the future of education for their brothers, sisters, daughters, and sons. We believe that we have this opportunity to reshape with the infrastructure we have. And we don't have to wait until the time is right. The COVID-19 has pushed us to make learning available and accessible to everyone. And I think we can do it together. If you're interested in scaling and taking our technology and taking our learning solutions to your nations, please let us know. We'll be more than happy and humble to bring our learnings to you. The rural education has changed. It's not the gap that we have to feel guilty about. It is now the opportunity to impact. We can shape the rural education together. Worldwide, we are facing a mismatch of teachers and students, but the rural schools have especially always struggled to acquire and retain talented teachers. In the developing countries, there's a population explosion of promising young people, and we're not even close to graduating enough teachers to teach them, let alone placing them where they are needed. And rural education has a direct impact on rural incomes. We all know that. But rural schools often are under-resourced and struggle to recruit talents in both developing and undeveloped economies. Due to the challenges of getting good education for the children, many parents, like my grandparents, migrated to overcrowded cities, creating a permanent rural brain drain. What can be done to prevent this? Believe it or not, the solutions to the problem turns out to be one of the fastest and least expensive ones. And we need to make changes related to our expectations from teachers and the way students learn. We need to reimagine the way we learn, the way we interact with learning materials. It doesn't have to be 2D and flat. It can be 3D, it can be imaginative, it can be fun while learning. You may want to argue that this could take years. Stop dreaming. Yes, this could take years, but through the magic of software and technology, in Myanmar, we're already providing low-cost tools built around traditional textbooks, traditional text in flashcards form, and match them with augmented reality tools to low-cost smartphones using mobile or Wi-Fi. And 368 team is already providing fast-rate science and ESL programs anywhere, everywhere. And the teachers change the role. They migrate from the all-knowing lecturer to the co-learning specialist, guiding the students through the automated software and textbook program. It is hard work, but rare in development investment. The results are almost immediate in better achievement, higher potential, and personal confidence for both students and teachers. The future education is now and is in the palm of students' hands. Let's discover together and collaborate to make learning a better experience for all. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Thank you to Ms. Lala for her presentation. So now we do have time for a quick Q&A session with her. So please give us one moment while we connect to her. Thank you. To be a little bit of echo. Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. You can fix that by closing the stage tab.
Yes.
So you should have one tab open. Great. Okay, cool.
Hi, do you have any questions?
Hi, welcome, Ms. Lala.
Thank you. I'm very excited to
Yes,
be
we do.
with
Thank
you.
So much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Questions from the audience. So just to let everybody know, please do drop your questions into the chat now to ask Ms. Lala any queries that you might have. So we can start now. We have time for a couple of questions. So the first one is from Mr. Botira. And he says that a parent's dream is to raise kids to their potential. And he is excited to see how you develop education models that are accessible to kids leveraging available platforms and on emerging smartphone technology. Do you have an open class? Do you have open classes? Do you have open your class for students abroad? Do you open your classes for students abroad?
Yes, I'll be happy to answer that personally. I'm dropping my email. Please reach out to me and I'll happy to share the resources later. And we have abroad now in different countries in Asia too, but definitely not in Cambodia yet.
But not in Cambodia yet.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. The next question is from Lai Miri, and she says that what inspired you to have such an idea to help education, and what challenges have you had, and how have you solved them?
Yes, I myself was a teacher, elementary school teacher for about 5 years. Then I studied abroad in the States for my bachelor in education. Then I came back, became teacher's trainer, school founder, and also education policy advocate. So I wear many hats in education for about 20 years. Lately, the new hat is a mom of a digital native. So my daughter, she goes to an international school and she comes home and expect me to teach her Chinese and French and Japanese. It's a multilingual school. So she comes home and expect me to teach, and I barely speak 2 languages. So I developed this app. This one is a 8 languages app, 8 languages learning, including English. So she's learning with that, and that is the head, going abroad in many countries now. So that was the first idea. But I also had a childhood trauma and a fear toward science learning. I wasn't the best student. I was an ADHD kid and also dyslexic. But my mom is a teacher. She never gave up on me, and she kept on using different learning tools. She could find, she could create around the house to teach me. So I become a good learner, and I won full scholarships to study in States 4 times. The first time for my bachelor and also master at the Harvard Kennedy School, and also selected to attend the Global Solution Program at the NASA, together with the Singularity University. So these are the results of teachers not giving up, parents not giving up on kids. And now I become a parent myself. So I want to give learning tools that are exciting, fun, and also not fear associated to learning. So that's my inspiration in a way. I've been a learner, but not the best learner myself. I was a challenging student. But I made it my way. So I want to give back, and I've been blessed with many study opportunities in abroad. About 10 years in the States for bachelor, master, and leadership programs, and also setting up the company in Silicon Valley with the support from Google. So I want to give back, and this is my way of giving back to Myanmar and now growing internationally. Thanks for the question.
Good answer. Some of our viewers to know more about the app. Is it free access, and is it available through other rural areas? Additionally, if you have any idea on any other tools or apps that students can use on their smartphones in the rural areas.
Right. If you go to our website, www.360ed.org, you will see projects and pages, and some of the projects are for free. In Myanmar, we partner with the Ministry of Education. So we made English language learning for grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 6 already for free for 4 million of students. And these are open access. So students in Cambodia, if they want to study English, you can also benefit from logging into our app and also start doing it now. You don't have to pay a penny. That's our donation. That's our giving back to the community, giving back to the as a whole. Especially in COVID-19, it's very rare and very difficult. And another great thing about our app is it is offline. Once you download it, you don't have to be online all the times, and you don't require fancy devices like computer or any smart board or anything. You just need your smartphone. Grab your smartphone and look for 360 ED in the Play Store and download it and can start using it. So 4 grade subjects, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 6 English subjects are already free and available online. And all other apps, also there are demo cards and demo that you can download and you can try it. If you need more information, I'll be happy to answer by email as well. I know the time is short, but we're more than happy to create this exponential impacts in education beyond Myanmar. Thank you.
Okay, I think that you have answered all of the questions that people have. Do you have any further comments?
We are a social enterprise, and for the work we are doing, we believe that society has the challenges, but government alone it shouldn't be the duties of the government alone to handle and solve it. So as an individual citizen, and we gather together in partnership with the government. So this type of private-public partnership can scale to other countries and also help in the country's education reform process. And especially in COVID-19, the access to continuous learning is a challenge, not only in Myanmar, worldwide. The Myanmar challenge similar to Cambodian challenge because we do not have the luxury to have access to internet all the time or the laptop or desktop all the time. So we're happy to share the resources that we have built in Myanmar and also across Cambodia, our friends in Asia, all around the world. And we're talking with some African countries as well to scale solutions to Africa. So far, our users are in Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Japan, not in Cambodia, unfortunately. We are very much looking forward to partnering with strategic partners in the education sector or technology sector, or even the government itself to leverage to leapfrog. It took us 4 years to reach where we are, and it took us 80 staff full-time working to reach where we are. But being in Cambodia, you can just leapfrog and skip all the steps and take it to Cambodia. And if you want to know how, you can go to 360ed.org and find out more, or personally contact me at lala.wing@360ed.org. I'm more than happy to answer your questions and explore the opportunities together. Thank you.
That is all the time we have for you today, but thank you for an informative session, and so many people want to connect with you. So please, after your session, do drop your contact into the stage and event chat so people can directly connect with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing your product. Thank you. Your app, sorry. Okay, have a great rest of the day. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your time.
Thanks.
អរគុណដល់លោកស្រី Lala Win ដែលបាន
Thank you so much to Lala. And up next is Mr. Vitali, who is the director of IT Step Academy, Switzerland. IT Step is one of our organizers for the event here. So looking forward to his presentation up next. Please stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Cambodia. Good morning, the forum. My name is Vitaly. I'm representing STEP Academy, however, not Cambodia, but Switzerland, currently in Poland. As you know, STEP Academy is a big global organization, and we have education for different groups, for different directions on different topics. And of course, we are very interested into everything which is new, everything which is just coming to education. And one of the biggest recent topics, which was very popular 3 to 5 years ago on Coursera, for example, gamification course was one of the most popular, is game design, how we can implement game design into education. So let's first talk about different words that are very, very specific to game design, to gamification, and there are three, which is important to understand the difference. First one is obviously games. So games are collaborative, usually activities that have a specific set of goals and specific set of boundaries, specific set of rules. For example, chess can be treated as a game, but there are sometimes differences when people say play and game. So play is an activity which doesn't have specific boundaries or rules. We can play on the guitar, so it has many different options, but when there is a specific guitar hero, this is already a game because it has specific rules, goals, and boundaries. Simulations are also very important in education, but it's not very connected to personal choice or not very connected to our virtual, so to say, world. It's usually a real world process, and it's a real world simulation. So that's why the word simulation is using to describe this. And it's just specific elements, we will talk about them later, make the process of any activity a bit more funny, a bit more So why do we need game design in education? So first of all, as any game designer, you will know the process of the progress of your users. So where they are, what they learn, and what they would like to learn more. It also helps us to motivate learners a bit more with providing them more opportunities and a bit more personalized approach, or at least just a funnier way to deliver any specific information. For us, it's easy to simulate any activity and build a confidence. Before they make a mistake, they can try it online. And of course, we can give and we can receive a very important thing, which is a crucial part in modern education, which is feedback. So just a bit of step aside about gaming. So this is one of the most popular games so far. It was released in 2011, and so far it's still one of the best rocking games, which earned $1 billion, less than Avatar the movie. So I think in 15 days, when Avatar earned in 18 days. So in 2 years, people spent almost 3 million years totally playing the game, which proves the concept that we probably like playing games. Only right now we have a specific challenge to make education as engaging as video games and still keep it valuable. And we will make it by introducing game mechanics into education. And we will build them around future skills. Well, future skills are also a super important concept, which was re-updated recently by the World Economic Forum in their report on the future of jobs. There are 15 most important, and you can check them in this report. I'll just highlight it in bold, all those activities which can be easier, more swiftly learned with gaming than others. Just a quick feedback, I will not read one after another, is that we have a rise of more complex skills, like for example, problem solving or critical thinking or analytical thinking, comparing to personal skills. So this big shift will impact highly our children, and us as well in 5-10 years, when what we will need to do is to come up with better solutions rather than just quick solutions, and not know more but design more. One of the good examples of games is Terra Genesis that was released on all mobile platforms, where you are a leader of a colony on another planet. Usually you start with Mars, where you have to first build your first cities. Then you can find out your way of making a planet available for people to live. So you have to design how to make water, you have to understand how to make biodiversity, you have to understand how to keep population running. There is also a lot about different cultures. There's 5 different fractions that all have their own specific bonuses or drawbacks. And you, in progress of this game, you learn a lot about what awaits us for when we start explorations. So just 2 different types of games with 2 different settings and 2 different approaches. So when we speak about gamification or just game design, there are specific mechanics. So first one is setup, so where the game will be played. Another one is rules. We discussed already that there is no game without boundaries. And then there is a process, progression. So how we continue through the game and how we can win the game and how we can be more successful playing the game, how we can get to being a master in this game. So for example, just super quickly about the game that you all know, Mario. You can see that on the first level there is a rise of complexity. Here we have no enemies, here just 1, plus we have additional bonus, smaller jumps, higher jumps, 1 enemy, 2 enemies. Then we have a place where we can simply fall, there are more enemies, and so on. And then here is the end. So this is an example how we build games. And now is my question, why not to build the same way our courses, our programs? Why not to use specific typology of players that we have in games and to apply it to our education? So they're specifically distributed by orientation. So they would like to work on their own, or they would like to work in groups, and how competitive they are. So if there is low competency, there is high competency. So for different groups, so to say, of players, we can design different challenges. Just as an example, if you're building a platform that should help people to pass an exam and to get the highest marks, of course, you have to design thinking that your competition is higher and this is self-oriented. In case you're designing a system that will foster collaboration and you have to find a common solution, so orientation should be on a group and there should be no competition. So you don't have to design, for example, levels in this case. So key gamification mechanics, so-called LBP, leaderboards, pages, and points, are very important for those who, of course, seek for competition, as well as task difficulty and end of the game. Some games are not without any end, they're just like exploratory games. So they're interesting for lower 2 options. Multiplayer games, yes, no. And this is a big shift right now, so that everyone is searching for a way to still play as a team, to compete, even if there is a competition, still as a team. So for example, when you design a program, you can say that there is 70% of mark for individual work and 30% of mark for a group project, like an example. So specific game elements that we have we already spoke a lot about progression. So different points, badges, leveling, leaderboards. This is a table of ranks, so who is the higher one. Progression bars is from 0 to 100, for example. You get it, and only after you can achieve some specific task or specific use. So certificates, of course, are super important. Here you can see a screenshot of pages, I believe, from Code Academy. Rewards are very similar to achievements. However, if we treat achievements as levels of mastery, like for example, ranks, like military ranks, rewards are given for something very special. So, for example, if you visited a website already a month in a row, you get a special reward. You may not be achieving during every day something specific, but it's to kind of show the presence and show respect to the things you do. Some specific power-ups are also very important. During a specific limited period of time, your player will be more capable of doing things than other players. Personalization is a big idea everywhere. So if you design any system, if you design any course, take it into account that people have to be in charge of avatars they're selecting, in charge of the names they're selecting, in charge of different ways to express themselves, as well as during speaking or just during conversation. Another big idea is a story. This is a real screenshot of virtual office. And in this offices, you can have your own stories and you can have your own quests. So this is aside from the main game, you can have a small game inside. And I'm happy that I have a bit more time and to speak a bit about the things we are doing in STEP Academy based on those information that I gave to you already. So we have our own service, which we call MAPS, Measurable Personalization System. And here, this is actually a course. This is a program on Python, and it doesn't look like a usual book. All the map. So it's designed with 3 to 5 times more redundancy in order to complete it. So just have to spend enormous amount of time to complete. So now a student is in charge of their own learning process. You can see different coins, crystals, the points in different ways. You can see badges here, and these are skills badges. You can see the hero personalization. I'm not a very good one in drawing my heroes. You can see as well that they're big levels. So some of them, they cost up to 15 points to pass. Some of them cost 1 point. So every person can design their own idea and can manage the resources the ways they would like to manage. A few more screenshots of the system. So you can exchange earned coins and crystals into specific armor to upgrade your hero. This is a friend of mine who is more playing the game than me. And here you can see the history of your awards, your productivity, and your progress. So this system is based on a small assumption, small hypothesis that students and just pupils, people, they like playing because it gives them a specific freedom of choice. So the same for education. Here is the person is able to select their own pathway. And just a small quote at the very end, that life is more fun if you play games. So play nice games and use all those game design things in your programs, in your education design. Thank you.
All right, so that was Mr. Vitali on gamification for e-learning. So we are going to connect with him now for a live Q&A session. So please drop any questions that you have for him into the chat. Hello, Vitali.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for joining us today.
Every person that they are learning their own subjects and exploring their own formats. Like someone is more about tests, someone's more about assignments that should be controlled by mentors, someone is more about helping other people. So that's quite interesting that we designed a system that gives every particular typology of players to do their own things. So the only feedback that we have in terms of time and in terms of measurables is that students, they spend not 2-3 hours as we expected per week, but up to 7-9 hours learning by playing.
That is incredible. Wow. Okay, thank you. For our first question from the audience, David Horn wants to know, do you think gamification in e-learning could worsen students' game addiction?
What do you mean worsen? So that they will be playing more games or they will be canceling game playing? We can treat them both. But,
both.
From my experience, I think that as having before joining Step Academy a big marketing experience in actually creating the apps for mobile phones, I know that those marketers, they went really far away in terms of psychology, and education, unfortunately, we stayed on the same level. So I don't treat the games as something which is good or bad, but unfortunately, those mechanics they use at this stage are more powerful than any other mechanics we are using in education. So it's really hard to build a personal intrinsic motivation right now when you can just quickly join. You can just open the phone and have some like 5 to 10, 15 minutes of just playing game without any understanding why. The big thing that I forgot to mention in my presentation, and I will use this opportunity to tell about it, that right now all the games that our children are playing, they're based on reaction. So how quickly you make a decision. It is not that interesting for us for the future. I mean, because in the future, all these quick decisions will be made mostly by artificial intelligence or just simple algorithms. What we need to foster in children is making a complex decisions. So if we're able to build a game that will require children to think a lot, to spend time working together, discussing, and finding the best way and win-win strategies, then I think that the future very interesting.
Because of the current common perception that from parents especially that gaming is a bad source of addiction. So thank you for your answer. And our follow-up question is from Lala, our previous presenter. She herself is a gamer and she loves gamifying learning. She wants to know if there's any research backing up showing how gamification enhances learning.
Well, yes, there are many researches. So this presentation was based on researches actually. So there's several of them. I haven't put the links, but well, I can send you as a follow-up all those links to PDFs to those researches. So they started to be done 5 years ago. Well, gamification is about a different approach. You start from zero. So your level is zero, you have zero experience. And then you start